Hello, this is Robert Paltz, and this is a video about how I do Native American genealogical research. I'm doing this for the Muskogee meeting on July 4th, and yeah, thought I would put together a video on that. A little disclaimer, I'm not associated with any of the tribes and cannot guarantee that this path will lead to a CDIV card. This is the best effort. The tribes change their requirements from time to time, so it's best to go to the tribe that you're interested in and get their requirements. And while you're there, you might talk to the genealogy services there and find out what it would cost for them to do this research. You may be a bit surprised. This information is based on my 16 years of volunteering at genealogy libraries in Oklahoma. There are other volunteers that are much better than I am, so don't take me as a standard example. There are people that are much more skilled at this than I am. It applies to the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Muskogee Creek Native American tribes only. The other tribes have unique different things that you need to be aware of, and I'm not qualified at all to talk about that. If your ancestor was not living in Indian Territory from 1898 to 1914, they will not be listed on the Dawes Roll, and you may not be able to get a CDIB card. That's just the way it is. It's the legal requirement for being a Native American. Okay. First thing you need to have is a 5-generation pedigree chart for the line that you suspect contains your Native American relatives. And you will require, the minimum requirement the tribes require is certified birth, death, and marriage records for each individual in the chain back to the Native American. In Oklahoma, the birth and death records can be obtained from the Oklahoma State Department of Health. If you want the marriage records, you need to go to the county level. This must be done before you proceed, or you're just really wasting your time. Okay, so you don't know how to take and find these records. Well, the first thing I would do is to take and go to your local genealogy society and with a real program that will help you find the Gen website. Now, how do you find that? Well, the first thing you do is, let me share here. Gotta find the right place. There we go. Share screen. So what you do at this point is I would recommend that you go to the US Gen Web project. You come down here, say you're doing Oklahoma. You click on Oklahoma. You get this for Oklahoma. If you want Muskogee, you click on Muskogee. You get this for Muskogee on the Gen website. And then you come down to genealogical societies, and that will take you. Oh, by the way, when you're on this site, you might look and see there might be some information you can use eventually for your research. Okay, then you go to the Muskogee County Genealogical Society. And the group you want that I would recommend in this group is the Lunch Bunch. And you come down here and you hit this at this time of the day on Tuesdays, and you can join the meeting. So it takes you right in there. Now, say that doesn't work for you. The next place I would go is the Family Search wiki site. And all these URLs, by the way, are in the data that comes out with this video. Then you'd click on Oklahoma. Go to Oklahoma. Muskogee is the county that Muskogee is in, of course, and that will take you to Muskogee. And you have to page through all this information that you may find useful for your research. And eventually you get down and you can see what other resources are available. Lots of stuff on Muskogee County. Here's your death and marriage records. Here's the online databases that may help you, but you actually need the certified copies from the state to take and do what you want to do. And this is local centers and affiliates for the family search centers. Here's libraries, here's museums, and right here is the Muskogee County Genealogy Society. And here's the Fort Gibson Genealogical Society, so that you may want to do Fort Gibson. So that gets you to there. So the next thing that I recommend that you do is that you take and get a copy of the Boy Scouts of America Merit Badge book. And that is this. And that's a genealogy book for that they do for Boy Scout Merit Badge. This has examples in it of all the forms. So you got the forms. You don't have to go looking for them on websites and stuff. And you've got a procedure. Now, let's see if I can get it up. There we go. This is when you're on the page there, they will give you can take and look at for a sample of what's inside of this book. And this goes through all the requirements the Boy Scouts go through. If you go through these requirements, you'll be well prepared to do a 5-generation pedigree chart. And I think it's 6. Yep. Number 6 requirement is begin your family tree by listing yourself and at least 2 additional generations that may complete the requirements by using the chart provided in this pamphlet. Okay. So they've got a blank chart in there so you can take and do it. It also lists resources that are available to you. So you may find these resources useful, and additional resources. You'll find the GenWeb project is listed, various places that are that have genealogy software, Legacy, Reunion. That's getting pretty old. Okay, and then the next thing that I recommend is that you go to the great courses. Now, these great courses are available on Libby or Canopy services, and they're generally free at the library. And this one that you want is Discovering Your Roots, an Introduction to Genealogy. I think John Coletta does an excellent job in these lectures. There's 15 lectures. I only recommend the first 11, as again, genealogy is an evolving science, and the last lectures in this series have passed their warranty mark. The information in them but you don't need it for doing a 5-generation chart, and so I'd recommend the first 11 lectures of that. Now you're done your 5-generation chart, and it will look something like this. Okay. So now you've got the names, but you don't have the paperwork yet for them. So let's take Charles Emmett McAllister. He is in Oklahoma. If he wasn't born if you didn't think he was in Oklahoma, like Charles Curtis is in Colorado, you'd have to go to Colorado for his records. So let's take Charles Emmett. In 1928, you think that's what you've interviewed your family, and that's when they think he was born. So you're going to go look for the records for him. So let's go here, and where did I go? Well, here we go. And you want a certified copy. Oops, that's gone too far. You want a certified copy of his information. You go to this website. It's the Oklahoma State Vital Record site. And you're looking for his birth information. So you go here and search. You enter his information, Charles. Now you have to be very specific. If you misspell a word here, it will not generate results. This is a very, very picky site. Okay, you hit search, and it gives you all the Charles McIntoshes. Oops, And jump back. Let's do it again. Well, we'll just jump over. Gives you all the Charles McIntoshes. And if you look right here, here's the Charles McIntosh that's there. Now, to order this record, you go down here to order certified copies. If you do it online, you have to pay an extra $15. If you do it by mail, it's only $15. I'm sorry, you have to pay an extra $12.95 for processing. If you do it by mail, it's $15. You can get the death also for $15. So you need those records to take and do it. Okay, let's go back to here. You also need to find a relative that's in your family. So this would be an example of a relative that's in your family in those dates, 1895 to 1914. He's born in Oklahoma, in Indian Territory, in 1871, which is now Oklahoma. And by 1895, he's still in Oklahoma. So he meets the requirement for being in Oklahoma. So now we need to take and now we can take and start doing Native American research. All right, let's review where we are. You're now ready to do Native American research. You have a 5-generation pedigree card of your family. And let's put that up there. Oops. So you now have a 5-generation chart for your family. You've identified a specific individual, Charles Edward McIntosh, as your target individual for this research. You've secured certified copies of birth, death, and marriage records from you back to the targeted individual. You've identified the tribe of interest for the targeted individual, and you have contacted the tribe of interest and determined the requirements for the SDIV card and have secured any additional information required between you and the targeted individual. So we're ready to research. So the first step would be to take and verify that your individual is an Indian, an American, Native American. And the easiest way of doing that is to check the 1900 and 1910 federal censuses. These censuses, let me get to it, had a special inquiries related to Indians in them. The census forms for Native Americans were only 25 lines long. They contain the top and a half version of that census. And I've used these several times. And they are there. They are specific to Native Americans. So let's see if our Charles took and declared he was a Native American. So we got to go to Family Search and enter his Family Search ID number, which we have determined in our research before. And that opens up this. And we choose person. And we go to sources. And we see what sources are here. And we find that there is a 1900 census. It'll look more like this. When you see it, you click on that. That opens this up. And it looks like this. Okay. So here's the 1900 census for Charles. And when we go to his form, what do we notice right off the bat? Well, come on. We notice that this is a 50-line form. This is not a Native American form. So there's several reasons why this may be true. One of them was it wasn't popular to be a Native American in 1900 and 1910 because you weren't allowed to vote. And so it was popular to call yourself something else. I've gone through this whole section for this ED 55 and found that there were no Native American forms in ED 55. So it's just possible that the census taker didn't use the Native American form in ED 55. That said, let's move on to our next opportunity. Okay, now we want to take and identify the Dawes roll and card number. Okay, to do that, I would start off by going to Oklahoma Historical Society Genealogy section. And I want you to note this is the Indian Ancestry section. And down here at the bottom is this wonderful document that is quite useful in defining all the terms. And anyone doing research ought to take and read this in detail. And you can print off a copy of it and keep it with you. And you'll notice right here, number 1, it says that you need a pedigree chart. So we've already done that, and we're moving along here. And that's working. We're on this chart, and we're doing what they want to do too. The next thing that's on here is, I need to move this over, the 1896 applications. So we put Charles McIntosh in there, and I would choose all tribes, just in case. Just take and see if I've got the tribe right. And there's nothing there. There were no applications by Charles McIntosh that are recorded in this database in 1896. So the next step would be to go back to here and say Dawes final rows. When you go to the Dawes final rows, oops, let's go back one. And you enter Charles McIntosh and you put him in as a Creek. Let's see if I got that. Well, I'm not willing to fill that out. Put him in as a Creek. You got this Charles McIntosh that's 28 years old. That looked really probable, and I thought this was the guy. And I looked at this card 1072. And looky here, he's got a Katie McIntosh that's 8 years old and a Ben David McIntosh. Does that match up at all with this? Well, let's go see. Go up here. We look at his family, and we're looking for a Charles Curtis and a Verna Thelma. Verna Thelma. Okay. So it doesn't appear to be the same person. But when we start going down through here and we go back one, look at this, Charles Curtis McIntosh. And we go back to this. And we go back to this. And here's a Charles Curtis McIntosh. And he's born in 1902. Now, Dad died in 1902. So that's kind of interesting. So let's go look at Charles Curtis McIntosh. Charles Curtis McIntosh is card 1095, and he's alone. So Charles Curtis McIntosh looks like a probable for us. So let's go look and see what Charles Curtis looks like. And using the same method that I showed you before, I've gone to the sources here, and here's Charles Curtis McIntosh in the 1910 census. He wouldn't show up in the 1900 census because he's not born yet. And look at his. He's a stepson to the person that's there. So here's Charles Cronin is his stepfather. But looky here, Bernie Cronin and Bertha. Okay, let's go see if we can find a Bertha in this census. And that looks awful close like Bertha. That maybe that's what she was called at the time. She's listed as the wife, and she's listed as a stepmother to the child. So it looks like a close match to our Bernie. So now let's move on. That we now have at this point have a Charles Curtis McIntosh, and as a possible roll number 101015, Creek by Blood, and card number 1095. So we now need to take and get more information to verify that we're working on the right person. Okay, now we have established our target individual, a new target individual as Charles Curtis McIntosh. And we found him as in the roll number 1015, Creek by Blood, and card number 1095. So the obvious thing to do is take and research some more information. And my next choice in databases is fold 3. So let's go to fold 3. Okay. My way of getting on fold 3 is here at the library. I went over to fold 3. I put in a search. Now, this is the most difficult database to use I've ever used. Yeah, I would say that I am less than proficient in it. So let's take 1095 Macintosh Charles and see where we go. Okay, I also chose Native American, non-military, Dawes packets, and Dawes enrollment cards. Okay, and that generated this wonderful document right here for Charlie. And its first page, oh, that's a disappointment, isn't it? Well, let's look at this. Look at this. There you are. And it's Ben McIntosh, who's 44 years old, and he's making a statement about his nephew. And here's the mother. That matches up with our family tree. And Charlie McIntosh, yes. And looky down here, Charlie Curtis McIntosh. And this is being done on July 26, 1905. And so we have a lot of points of interest here. Now, when you want to retrieve this, you come over to here, you hit download. I would say the entire page for that, and you choose JPEG, and that should be in the download. So let's look at it. It'll take me a second here. There you go. You should be seeing that. So that's the entire document. Isn't that great? Okay, so we've got a child, and he was you have a brother named Charlie McIntosh. This is the brother. This is the wife, and so on. Okay, not a big packet. Most of them are bigger than that. So now we've got this. Let's see if we can find any more information. So what I'm thinking about doing, I've got the Dawes packet now. I'm going to take, where is it? Non-military, come on. Dawes packets off and look at the Dawes cards. Okay. And that didn't generate much. So let's just take this off and go for 1095. And looky here. The other one didn't generate anything with Macintosh and Charles because it's Charlie. You pull this up and you've got this card. Now this card is available. I'll blow it up for you. Wait a minute. I should be able to do that now. That's this one. Nope. That's this one. And you'll notice it says Charles Macintosh down here. And it gives his number as 1074. And it gives his roll number as 0470. Okay, let's go back to this. So now we've got that. We go back to the doll's rolls and we run that 072 in there and we find Charles Macintosh, Creek by Blood, card 072. Okay, and we can go there. And that's the Charles Macintosh we rejected because he didn't have none of these things matched up. But remember, this child was born after these were done. And I can show that by going back. Nope. Going back. Yep, let's go back one. Takes a while to get here. So I put 072 in there with this search algorithm. Found Charlie Macintosh, which generated all of this. And this is the blow up of it. So we now have Charles Macintosh 28, but this is being filled out before the Charles Curtis Macintosh is even born. So, and there's all types of affidavits and stuff attached here. So we're getting there, getting closer and closer and closer. Now let's go back to here. And let's see what I put in here. Nope, I wasn't having any success with this. So that takes care of the fold 3 stuff for now. And moving right along. Okay, was this the end of Native American research? No. But this was enough to satisfy most of the patrons that came into my libraries. They had packets to take and go. Sometimes these packets were 50, 60 pages long. So it would take a lot of analysis to do that, and sometimes years to get that done. So I'm going to start showing you some additional resources that take and enhance your research if you're helping someone do this. First thing is the Fold 3 Native American Records discussion. There are two sections to this. Let's do this one, okay? And they're quite useful. Next is the Family Search Wiki on Native American Research Records, and this has two sections, believe it or not. It's got the North American Online Genealogy Records, which are fairly extensive. It gets into the stuff like the Miller rolls and the Gillian rolls and stuff like that. So when you get into really researching Native American history in detail, those rolls become important. And that's a step beyond the scope of this presentation is. This is the second one that's there, and it's called Indigenous People of the United States Genealogy. And it has a whole new set of places and broken down by straits and by tribes, and the Bureau of Indians, the reservation, research facilities, libraries, record keepers, all types of additional information to go through. As you can see, this can get quite extensive. The next site I would recommend, this is, it wipes it out so I can't read it. Access Genealogy. They have a very good site on Native American research. I can't remember if this is a pay site or not. I get to going into some of this and I don't recognize this as a pay site or not. Lots of information there on Native American research. Then the Bureau of Indian Affairs has quite a bit of detailed information. They got Baker rolls, they got the Robin roll, the Kern Cliff roll. Man, that's a family name. Dawes rolls and Gillian rolls again, and lots of information there. The next is another Bureau of Land Management. Record Group 75 is a lot of Indian Affairs records. More places to take and look. These are more not database based. And then here's a definition of what the census cards are like. And it's deciphering census cards. These are all good resources. That appears to be the same. And then Roots Web, which is part of Ancestry. Ancestry used to have a wiki for Native American research. They've replaced it with Roots Web. And this is their view on Native American research and what tools they have to take and help you with that. So it's quite a bit of information to take and review. And the classic is Cindy's List. She has everything that you could ever imagine on her site. And then the next is the National Congress of American Indians. And this has a link to each of the sites. So if you're looking for information that gets you the actual tribe that you're looking for is information. And this is all tribes, not just the 5 civilized tribes. And the next one that I would say is the Tulsa Library. They have some research guides, and they're really quite good. How to use the Dawes rolls, the 1900 and 1910 census, as we discussed, or have census in Native American sections of them. Final Draws Rolls Index, Fold 3 database. These will help you through using some of these databases. And the last is a thing I wrote for the Pittsburgh County Genealogy Society a long time ago. Some of these links are broken because it's very old. This hadn't been updated since 2017. And but Some of them are still there. Some of them I used in my my presentation. So I wish you luck in your finding your native ancestors. It's been a fun trip. I don't think I'll be doing much native research anymore, but thought I'd record this and make it available to the group.